a formal IT individual. The Zoom interaction with a bunch of folks, we are in a basement of an office building in West County that does have limited reception. So maybe some of you could help fix our problems at some point.
Absolutely, absolutely. And who knew that one social media post would get you over 135 people on a Zoom call? So that's a good outcome for day one. So very excited about that. So great. Well, let's jump, John, into sort of the questions that we knew would be on folks' mind. I see Matt popping back in here, so we'll let him get situated. But you know, John, there's a lot of companies getting ready to launch in the Missouri medical marijuana space right now. So tell us a little bit about what sets proper cannabis apart from your perspective, and how you see yourselves as being really different.
Yeah, I've gotten to know a lot of the other groups who like us, were fortunate to win license, and I can say a lot of great things about our competitors and friends as well. I think, for us, and it started from the beginning with, I think, Craig's and my desire to become partners, and our introduction to Matt. We put a major emphasis on values and missions. At the end of the day, we are running a cannabis company, and we are going to focus on quality, and we're going to make some kick-ass brands. We know that. But every company, if they're focused on those same elements, they're going to do that well too, right? So, I tend to look at an ethos of a company and how you draw that into people. And when you have core values, make decisions to support those core values, and you don't jeopardize those. And when you're hiring people, when you're determining what brands you're going to launch, when you're figuring out how you're going to build out spaces, when you're figuring out what your technological edges are, when you're looking at equipment you're going to buy, everything you do supports mission and values, and they're non-negotiable. And when we launched this thing, really back in December of 2018, we focused first on the word vulnerability. And we said, this is a place that we're going to make sure we get people comfortable talking about what's happening in their lives, how it is they want to establish goals and reach goals in their own lives. And if you can get people talking about those things, and you can solve for widgets, you can figure out what brands that you want to launch. And our values, we're decided amongst the 16 or 17 people right now who are showing up to work. We got in the office 5 months ago, and we hired a guy, and we said, we're going to lock ourselves in a room, and we're going to define who it is we are as a company, not what I want, not what Craig wants, not what Matt wants, but who we are. And our 5 core values are authenticity, excellence, passion, connection, and community. And I could get into more value statements and what they mean and what they don't mean. But if you're going to work here, you got to bring it. And you got to bring it with a team focus. You got to put yourself out there. You got to be willing to take risk. But you have to have a concern of others, and you have to have a passion to serve others, and strive to be great. It's that simple. So those values, if you're leading people and you're doing things in any business arm of our company, which is a lot, we'll keep those at the forefront, and people who don't fit in, we're probably out. So,
that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks, John. That's a great overview of the conversations we've been having around culture and what it means, what it's going to mean to be a part of the team. That's fantastic. I think we have Matt who rejoined us. So Matt, if are you back out there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can. There you go. I can also find you too. I was trying to look through 122 boxes trying to find you. Why don't you go ahead, Matt, and finish your introduction, and then I'll throw a question your way.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just quickly, I'm not sure where I got cut off, but I'm from St. Louis originally, but moved out to Colorado about 11 years ago to join the cannabis industry, really in its infancy stage out there, and was fortunate enough to become part of a team that I think did some really special things out there and had a real commitment to quality. And really, that was kind of a master's program in cannabis. And so for me, the last 10 years and really basically my entire adult life have been spent in the cannabis space. So I've got a real passion for the plant and the process, and really believe in doing things the right way when it comes to cannabis. So for me, it's about not cutting corners and putting out the best possible product that we can. And had an opportunity to move back to St. Louis, the place that I was born and raised, and have a special place in my heart for, and join a really, I think, what will be a really special team and do something really cool in the cannabis space in Missouri.
That's great. That's great. So Matt, as you picture the organization a year from now, what do you envision as being the greatest part of working for this company? Knowing that you get to figure out how that works.
Yeah. For me, it's the greatest part will be being part of a team and creating products that we're proud of. And I think that's really what it's all about, is being able to focus on really creating something that we can stand behind and believe in, and always coming to work happy and excited. I think that's what I've always loved about being in the cannabis space, is it's never felt like work, because I wake up every day and go to sleep every night thinking about it, and it excites me. And I think at Proper, that kind of enthusiasm and that sort of passion is palpable in the people that are here every day. And I think that's who we'll be in a year from now, and that's who we'll be in 5 years, and that's who we'll be every day in between.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. For those of you who may not have seen it yet, the new, the brand video that they did, that was really a great opportunity to hear John, Matt, and Craig talk even further about kind of the vision and where this organization is headed and why they're so passionate about this industry, is phenomenal. So please take a look at their social media posts and like and follow and share those along the way. So we've got all of that information. But Craig, I'm going to pivot to you here for a minute. Proper Cannabis is in a really unique position in that they have all 3 vertical licenses. For those on the phone who may be a little less familiar with the industry, can you tell us a little bit more around what does that mean from a business perspective?
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Yes, and as John hit on earlier, we're very fortunate to be a license holder here. A little background to kind of where we are and what license we're holding. We have a cultivation license, a retail license. Those of you who don't fully understand what that means, it means we can kind of grow our own product, process our own product, which is basically turning the harvested and cured flower into vapes and gummies and other manufactured products, and then we are able to sell that on a retail level through our own stores. So basically gives us control of our own product from seed to sale, which is a big deal. Helps us control the quality. We don't have to rely on others from a seed to sale. That's a very critical spot to our business, and we want to be the highest of quality and products out there in the market. So that's a big deal to our business.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And Matt and Craig in particular, as you think about what it's going to be like to be, to be a part of this team, I think John talked a little bit about the core values side of things, but you've had the opportunity over the last few months to work with the team so far. What have you enjoyed so far about working with the organization that you have?
Katie.
Did I freeze?
All right, John, you have this, but she was going to talk.
I mean, in terms of the facility that we're building, the equipment that we've selected, and the processes that we're putting in place, the end goal for everything is the highest quality cannabis possible. So for us, it starts with genetics, and we've got a library that we're really proud of that we've been kind of curating over the last 10 years. In our process, we plan to take plants to full maturity. So for us, it's not about shortcuts. We know that we could squeeze in an extra few harvests a year if we wanted to cut things short, but we're not going to do that. And throughout the rest of the process, once we harvest, the process from harvest to ready flower for us is about 35 days. You'll talk to groups that cut that time in half, and it's important for us to really do that process the right way and draw it out slowly. We think that leads to a terpene rich, really flavorful, proper flower. So for us, that's the process. And I think one of the things that's unique about our facility, probably when you compare it to certainly others in Missouri, is we've got a 25 by 15 foot walk-in freezer. So we're dedicating a big piece of space to fresh frozen extraction. So we'll cryo freeze and then store in that walk-in freezer, and have a real emphasis on live resin and fresh frozen extraction kind of all types. So maybe that gives a little bit of insight to our facility and our plans. And at the end of the day, it's really about kind of treating people and plants with respect. And, I think if you do that, what winds up happening is you have a product that you can stand behind and feel really proud of.
Yeah, well said, man. I think, I'm now looking at this chat room that I pulled up, and somebody brought up a question that I think, lends to a little bit of background on the vision. And they said, are there any existing operators or competitors that you want to emulate? Matt and I, we first sat down in November of 2018, and the facility that will really be our headquarters in Rock Hill. And we had that property under contract actually 4 days before the election in 2018. To give you an idea of just some of the foresight that we had to really be thinking about, 2 years ago, you don't know where you're going to be, but you have to kind of make certain decisions. And, I'm kind of a visualizer, and that's kind of my role, is to help be a little bit more strategic and, thinking a few years out. And after probably one or two conversations with Matt, I realized that he emulated what I thought I would expect and needed in a partner. Here's a guy who has worked for a company in Colorado for a dozen or so years and had seen the company be acquired a couple of different times, and he was the last man standing. And I said, we can get to the next level. Let's look at everything that and everything that you've done, and let's emulate the best qualities in companies to do things what we really call the proper way, in our way. Craig, Matt, and I, we own the business. We don't have shareholders in publicly traded companies that we have to report to. We've got checks and balances from a governance standpoint that keep accountability in place. But we're competing with big companies. And what's exciting for me is that it's very liberating to look around at our team and say, okay, our director of culinary, Dave Owens, he was the former head of taste and the head chocolatier at Bissinger's. Dave, this is your division, right? You've got carte blanche here. What do you want to make and why? You own this company, not my decision. And you start out with that level of conversation, and that's how we make decisions. We sit around rooms like this, we brainstorm, and we've done a ton of brainstorming and whiteboarding and communication, and you make decisions like a team. And ultimately, we've got a lot of guys on the team that play sports, and by no means are sports the end all be all, but you can't have a football team without linemen and defensive backs and a kicker and a punter and a quarterback. And ultimately, what's the goal? I don't know, Craig, you want to maybe Is Katie, you back on?
Yep, I jumped back on. So sorry about that. My Zoom gave me a problem, which never happens. So I'm not sure what went on there, but thank you all for bearing with me, and Matt and Craig and John for jumping in. We are getting some questions, John, in the chat that I think as we pivot, and then folks, if you still have questions, put them in and we'll get to those. One of the most common questions I see coming up is, tell me about how I become part of this team and tell me what roles you all are going to have. So we're excited that folks are here to learn more about that. That's really kind of our goal, while getting the proper brand out there in general is a huge goal. We know that folks are interested in getting into this industry, and we're really looking to set this company apart in terms of the work environment and the positions. So to give you some ideas, we have openings right now. We already have posted our first set of openings. So if you go out to Indeed, you'll see those. We also have links to apply. The first roles that we're hiring for are for our cultivation positions. So they get the whole process started for us. And so we're looking to make 2 or 3 hires right now to get us up and moving in the right direction for as soon as we hit the commencement date. And then after that, we'll be looking for very shortly after that. So in the next month and a half, we'll be starting the hiring for our post-harvest groups, our manufacturing groups, our sales groups, and our culinary division. So lots of hiring going on. You'll have plenty of opportunity to hear more about all of this. In fact, if you haven't already seen it, on Monday, we are going to have another info session like this specifically for the cultivation group. So Jeff, who is our director of cultivation, is going to come on and talk about the process and sort of what it's going to be like to work in those roles, what day-to-day looks like, and why, after all of his years of experience working in this industry, he's excited to bring this back to St. Louis. So that's Monday at noon. Again, there's a registration link on the proper website, and we'll post it out through our social media again. So you'll have the opportunity to register and join that one. And then over the next several weeks, we're going to continue to have these with each of the departments. So if cultivation isn't where you want to spend your time, just keep your eye on the website, because every single one of our departments, Dave's going to come on and talk about the culinary side of things. He's talking chocolate, so I can guarantee I'll be on that call. But everybody's going to get on and get an opportunity to talk individually about what it's like to be in their group. So join the ones that you're most interested in. And then certainly we'd love to have you all apply for the positions. Like I said, we'll be posting them on Indeed. We also will have a link on the proper website so that you'll be able to apply directly online and get contacted by us to make sure that everybody's kind of in the loop. We've also started what we're calling our talent network. So if you go in right now and put your information in, it's asked for name and email address. You get on our sort of email list so that we can continue to keep you updated on all the information for the info sessions as well. So lots of exciting things coming from that perspective. Naomi just put in, Naomi's our brand and marketing manager. She just threw into the chat and Instagram and a couple of other social media posts you can follow to get all of the information. Thank you, Naomi, for being all over that for us. As we kind of wrap things up and talk about, again, if you've got questions, we'll put them in the chat if folks want to stay on. We only wanted 30 minutes because we didn't want you to feel like you were, carving out miles and miles of your life. But I think it's interesting to hear everybody talk about it. So Matt, tell us a little bit. One of the questions is around what kind of personalized customer experiences you're striving to build for folks, and what will it be like for those that are kind of in the retail session? We'll have a full session on retail, but why don't you give folks kind of a quick rundown of what you really envision from that side of the house?
Yeah, happy to touch on that. So yeah, for us, and I've touched on it a few times, kind of quality being a real driver for us, but in retail, that's quality of experience. And obviously product plays a big factor in that experience, but really it's the one-on-one relationship that you have when you go into our dispensaries. So we've designed our retail facilities to be really accommodating to that one-on-one experience. When you come into our stores, you'll be, I don't want to say assigned, but you'll kind of be paired with one of our patient care specialists. And, those people will undergo some really serious training based off of, my 10+ years of experience, and our director of retail has also got about 10 years in this space too. So, we want to be a place where you can feel comfortable going in, asking questions, and getting real answers. And, I think what's plagued the industry for a long time is misinformation, or a lack of information. We want to be a place that solves that. So if we don't have an answer for you, we're not going to make one up. We're going to go out and try to find an answer. But yeah, I think in our retails, what we'll emphasize as much as anything is not just like service with a smile, which you'll certainly get, but service with some knowledge, and some understanding of cannabis and the experience. One of the things that we've talked about lately is days where we'll bring in a pharmacist, or we've got a medical director on our staff. And so we want to have resources available for patients, and some answers for people in an industry where there aren't always answers.
That's great. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Another question, John, I'm going to throw this one your direction. A question that came in asked about, are we working on diversity and inclusion goals? So why don't you talk a little bit about that, and then I can piggyback on that a little bit as well in terms of some of the training we've already done for leadership.
Yeah, I think you hear it, across corporate policies, down the road. And, fortunately in the past, cannabis has been a male dominated industry. And, here the three founders are men. It's tough because you want to recruit the good talent, and you don't want to just, say things to say things, but, it's a big piece of what we have to build on the next wave. We're going to have, likely another 100 hires. And what we've charged, Katie and the rest of the directors is make sure that they're giving everybody a fair crack at this. And committed to making decisions that aren't difficult, but we need people. We need people to apply, and we need people to be interested. And it's a little bit of a numbers game. So we did hire a diversity specialist early on to kind of help advise us of these things. And I come from a background of women in the industry. We've got some really, really strong, females right now who, blow my mind every day on what they can do. And you add, LGBT and multiple races. This is a place of inclusion and a place that we want everybody to have a place in. So I don't know if I can say much more than that. And
That's a great piece, John.
you gotta take a risk on us.
Yeah.
Good day.
I absolutely think you're right on track in terms of the impact that brings, and most importantly, just your all's firm belief. While the three of you may not look all that diverse on screen, so let's just call it what it is. The reality is there's been a lot of passion and conversation around that with the team. We've been doing a lot of DEI training with the leadership team already. We've started that early on, and we'll continue to do that with not just the leadership, but with folks that we bring into the organization, because you can bring diversity, but you've got to make sure you create inclusion and create cultures of belonging. And that's really what Proper is all about. So we're excited, especially as the HR arm of this, to be a really big piece in making sure that's part of the work environment on a daily basis. So
hey, Kate, let me add something to that. Because this is probably a separate, really it's a separate entity, but we started a charitable foundation of the company called New Growth Horizon Charitable Foundation. And it's a registered 501c3. We have we are required to have officers. And we want to make sure that our commitment is to give back. We talk about cannabis and the medicine. There's an element in giving that they call it the helper's high. Ironically, when we give, it boosts our internal self-esteem. Our dopamine levels change. Our positive energy levels combat our negative. And what we'll do is once a quarter, departments will nominate employees within their division to exemplify the core values. And then we're going to dedicate funds available to give back into the community. And not just charities that I'm interested in, but charities that they're interested in. And, we got to remember, that, and I still have to remind myself that there's been millions of people who have suffered, and I'm benefiting off their suffering, right? And so it's not just a commitment and let's tout this. A portion of our profits will go towards this. I'm fairly certain that Matt and our retail team, they won't be accepting tips at the retail level. And anything that is offered in tips will go into our charitable foundation. So we're doing some really fun things that put other people first. Now we do have to, we got to get operational, but anyway, I don't know how that pertains to diversity, but I think it ties into community and it ties into kind of some of our corporate ethos.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. We do have a couple of questions, a question that came in a couple of times, and so I can speak to this one. And Craig, if you're out there, feel free to join in. I know he is. I just can't. I can't see him amongst all the screens. So, but the question was around benefits, and are we offering benefits to the employees? So I'll chime in. The answer to that is a great big yes. We really feel like part of making sure you feel like you belong as part of a team is that you've got a really strong benefits package behind you. So that includes a health insurance option plan that's already set up and ready to go. We've got our current team on that. And it also includes paid time off. We've got the employee handbook ready to go. So you're really kind of walking into an environment that, even though we're startup, has already taken some great strides in the benefit space. And the healthcare for employees, the healthcare is actually a covered part of the benefits. So a big win for our newest team members. Craig, anything else to add on the benefits side of the house before we?
No, I see Mike Blind just asked about a 401k. Currently not, but we do plan to offer that in 1 to 2 years. Once we get operational and things kind of settle down, and our focus is right now getting up and running and to be operational. So Mike, yeah, that will be here in the future. But just getting on that, I've seen a few questions, Katie, not to kind of change the subject, but a lot of people have asked about timing and commencement. All that things. I think we're going to notify the state for our cultivation commencement. We do that about 30 days when we feel we are ready to go. So we're looking around Thanksgiving timing, early December for commencement on cultivation, and soon followed by our retail and manufacturing spaces as well. So hopefully by early January, we'll have passed all 4 commencements for the 4 facilities and license types. We're looking for hopefully our first retail or wholesale sales probably April of 2021. So this kind of gives you a perspective on timing. Obviously the hiring and for all positions as interview processes have started now. I think John mentioned earlier, we'll probably be hiring anywhere from about 75 to 100 more potential candidates for the various positions there. There's positions available in all 3 fields: the retail, the manufacturing, and the cultivation. So whatever your interest is, as Katie said earlier, please just kind of follow that path, and we'll make sure we get you to the table and answer any of the questions you have, but definitely get you a fair crack at coming in and working for Proper. So we appreciate all the questions coming in.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, I certainly appreciate everyone hanging in there through our entire call. Hopefully you found this to be really beneficial. Again, this is the first of many, so please keep a lookout as we move forward for more information from us. We'll advertise all of those sessions. The cultivation one is Monday at noon. So we'll have Jeff on, the director of cultivation, will be on talking about his area specifically. That position is already posted. It's the first one we're making hires for. So please go out and, if that's an area you have interest in, make sure that you get your resume to us, and then we'll be posting all of the other positions shortly thereafter. And we'll keep you posted on the during the course of November, we'll have information sessions on each of the different areas so you can learn more about those specifics. But thank you all for joining us today. This is a fantastic turnout. And we're really excited to see that so many people are excited about this industry coming to the Missouri market. And we look forward to being a key piece to the culture that brings, and love to see some of you as team members later on. So thank you, John, Matt, and Craig, for your time today and sharing with everybody. I think you gave everybody great insight into what it's like to work with you all and what it will be like to work for the organization. So thank you all. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Stay patient. And be kind and get out and vote.
For sure. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye now.